Something has shifted in the waters. This year, I started out my summer videos with Soft Girl Summer, all about my trip to France. I explained how this trip was about dressing up fancy and in all pink with a big group of girls and celebrating all things feminine. Shortly after that trip, I went to see the Eras Tour. Taylor Swift entered my life when I was about 9 or 10, and other than my blood family, she has probably been the most consistent relationship in my life. Seeing her live, playing songs I sung along to, while playing Webkinz on the family computer was so incredibly moving and healing. I wept for the first 20 minutes of the show, having to remind myself to keep my eyes open so I could still see her. 2 premieres have happened this summer that continue the theme of girlhood. One, of course, being the Barbie movie, and the other being The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 2. When I was a camp counselor at an all-girls horse camp, I read the entire The Summer I Turned Pretty series after it being recommended in a Megan Hart's makeup video. Once I finished one book, I would pass it on, and in a matter of days, we were doing reading sessions of the book for tween girls on their summer break. Who has ever heard of that? That summer, the entire camp and I squealed over Jenny Han's writing and arguing over Team Conrad or Team Jeremy. Like most little girls, I played with Barbie and had a pretty dope Barbie dream house. And since I have a total obsession with hot pink, I of course was going to go see this movie. Shortly after seeing it, I saw this New York Times opinion article that inspired this video. It was titled, "The Hunger Fed by Barbie and Taylor Swift." After reading it, I realized this summer really is for the girls, and for them to heal their inner child and embrace being a silly girl. In this video, I'm going to dive into these 3 pieces of media, the Eras Tour, The Summer I Turned Pretty, and the Barbie movie, and we're going to discuss these cultural moments and the Summer of Girlhood. So if you like fashion commentary and pop culture videos, definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel because I post videos every Thursday, and with that, let's get into it. So right now, I'm going to read a couple excerpts from the New York Times article. It said, quote, "The summer's 2 biggest entertainment phenomena, the movie Barbie and Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, have a lot in common. Both feature conventionally gorgeous blonde women who alternately revel in mainstream femininity and chafe at its limitations, enacting an ambivalence shared by many of their fans. Both, beneath their slick, exuberant pop surfaces, tell female coming-of-age stories marked by existential crises and bitter confrontations with sexism, and both have become juggernauts." They continued, quote, "An obvious lesson from the gargantuan success of both Barbie and the Eras Tour is that there is a huge underserved market for entertainment that takes the feelings of girls and women seriously. After years of COVID isolation, reactionary politics, and a mental health crisis that has hit girls and young women particularly hard, there is a palpable longing for both communal delight and catharsis." And I really enjoyed the author creating parallels between Taylor Swift and Barbie and how they also noticed like something, it's a girlhood summer. So I first want to talk about the Eras Tour. As I mentioned, I started the summer off strong with a big girls trip to France that was solely focused on being as girly as possible in the most fabulous way. And that same week that I came back, I went to the Eras Tour. I understand that not everyone did a massive girls trip in May to set them up for a girly summer, but I will say, at least for me, it was the catalyst for all of the fun girly things happening this summer. I have a deeply personal parasocial relationship with Taylor Swift, and there were times in my life like I felt so isolated because of it. At first, it was because no one has ever heard of her out of the country music scene. Then it was because I was a fangirl. Then it was because everyone decided to hate her and slut shame her. I sort of kept my fangirling to myself, not allowing myself to be like a Directioner or a Twilight stan. I didn't even discover the online Taylor Swift community until the pandemic and TikTok. In college, I would even follow like Taylor Swift fan pages. Like they would come up on my Explore page and I'd try to ignore them because I was like embarrassed of like publicly like on social media being a Taylor Swift fan, even though like I was obsessed with her and everyone knew that. Since I downloaded TikTok, I have been nonstop on the Swift Talk community. I've given myself full permission to geek out, making cheesy Taylor Swift videos, nonstop scrolling on Gaylor theories, and even one of my videos got recognized by Taylor Nation and they posted it during the Red era. I cannot tell you how healing it has been for just to allow myself to geek out as much as possible. I've gotten so much merch since TikTok. I've just been like You've been obsessed with her for 15 years. I think it's okay to buy the folklore cardigan, which was my first piece of merch from Taylor Swift ever. I never had another piece of merch. I had the Fearless CD, but I don't know, I just didn't allow myself to enjoy that. When the Eras Tour announced, I vowed to get the best seats possible by any means necessary. And after surviving the Great War, I got floor seats 4 seats away from the stage gate, front and middle. Now, I knew I had a personal connection with Taylor Swift and was going to dress up and be as fangirly as possible. But again, TikTok really allowed me to geek out seeing all of the Eras Tour outfit ideas. I even have a video on that. Showing up to the stadium and seeing other people cry just by looking at the empty stage hours before Taylor went on, complimenting each other's outfits was the best feeling ever. Like, I felt so good there. The camaraderie was palpable. I saw this one TikTok that said, quote, "The Eras Tour made me realize I'm not afraid of crowds, I'm afraid of men," since unsurprisingly, the majority of the stadium were girls and gays. This idea of physical and emotional safety to wear crazy costumes and makeup to a concert and trade friendship bracelets is something adults, especially women who are often ushered into adulthood a lot faster by societal expectations, rarely get to experience. We were all allowed to be the biggest fangirls we could possibly be. No judgment on singing loud or wearing super niche costumes. Girls complimenting girls on their creative outfits. It was a safe space for everyone's inner child. And it was just like, that was honestly almost as good as the concert. It's just like the camaraderie you felt in the crowd. Now I want to talk about Barbie. I, of course, dressed my boyfriend and I up to go see the Barbie movie on Thursday when it came out. And similar to the Eras Tour, even prior to me ever seeing the movie, the community around talking about the movie made the experience all the more special. Over the past 2 years, we've been getting teases and snippets of the Barbie movie, and we can hardly escape Barbie capitalism right now. I've not thought of Barbie in years, but the premiering of this movie brought her back to my mind, and the joys of playing with dolls as a kid. I personally loved the Barbie movie, but what I loved almost as much is seeing people dressed up to go to the movie theater. Like the Eras Tour, I was complimenting people's outfits and vice versa. When we walked in, there was a big family that was all in like pink tutus, and they were like, "Oh my god, look at her outfit." I was like, "Oh my god, look at your outfit." And then when we walked out of the theater, there was another group going in for the other showing. There was like, "Oh my god, I love your outfit." It was just like so cute. And I was at like a small regional theater. Like, the crowd wasn't even packed by any means, and people were still dressed up. This is something I haven't experienced since like Twilight and the Hunger Games. The collective excitement around seeing a movie, dressing up, making it a true event. In the aforementioned New York Times article, they discuss the same feeling. Quote, "What happens in the crowd is messy, wild, benevolent, and beautiful," Amanda Petrus wrote in The New Yorker about a Swift concert. A woman attending one of the first Barbie showings told The Guardian she'd been waiting for it for 2 years. Quote, "I've been dying to go to a movie theater and have something that feels like a monocultural event." Now I want to talk about the summer I turned pretty. I personally love middle grade or YA romance. As someone who didn't have their first boyfriend till they were 23, and that's the person I'm living with now, I enjoy reading about teen love. I, of course, had crushes and first kisses, but I never had that like walking down the high school hallway holding hands experience. I gobbled up the Summer I Turned Pretty series like turkey dinner when I first read it. After season 1 premiering last year, I reread the books. When my best friend and I flew to Copenhagen last year, we binge watched the first season at the airport. Not only did it feel special revisiting an old storyline from my teen years, it was made more special by the fact that my best friend and I shared it together right at the start of our 2-week girls trip. In fact, she's from the town The Summer I Turned Pretty was filmed in, and her childhood best friend worked on the film. I'm saving watching season 2, which happens to feature a ton of Taylor Swift songs, for when Maria comes to visit so we can once again binge it, but I can definitely tell you what I love about the first season. I love how they characterize Belly. She really feels like a 15-year-old. After Euphoria and Riverdale, it's nice to see wholesome teen experiences. Yes, teens drink and smoke pot, at least I did. And growing up in Miami, you bet people were doing crazy things at young ages. But that doesn't negate the other side of teen experiences, which is an extension of childhood. I didn't have my first kiss until I was 16, and all my romantic experiences were very PG-13 up until college. The way they dress Belly, and even her hometown friend, Taylor, who's the more promiscuous one, they both dress how a 15-year-old who wants to act grown dresses. The show is so refreshing because it allows for romantic expressions without sexualizing every teen romance. Yes, some teens have sex, but others stay virgins until college. And when the only teen media being presented is hypersexualized crazy party scenes, it makes it feel like that's all teen experiences, thus putting even more pressure on teens to do these things they may not be ready for yet. The Summer I Turned Pretty is honest and pure and real. I remember the summer between my junior and senior year, I really blossomed, and it truly felt like the summer I turned pretty. All of a sudden, I was getting noticed and rising in popularity. And like Barbie and the Eras Tour, the Summer I Turned Pretty granted a soft, wholesome expression of girlhood without the fear of being over-sexualized or traumatic. Often when we see female stories, it is about trauma, drama, all of that jazz. And it's not, we can have women's stories without that. I think a big part of Girlhood Summer is also the mother dynamics that have been presented. And no, I'm not talking about mothering. Taylor Swift has a very close relationship with her mom, writing multiple songs about her, spending tons of her time with her, and overall just being a huge mama's girl. Her song The Best Day from her Fearless album is just the sweetest ballad about growing up in adoration of her mother, saying, quote, "Daddy's smart and you're the prettiest lady in the whole wide world." The music video is a compilation of home videos of Taylor growing up from being a baby until the present. I'm lucky enough to have a very close relationship with my mother, and for a while, it was just her and I in the house since my parents are divorced, and we had our own mother-daughter routine. The Best Day is really near and dear to my heart, and not to get too personal, but in 6th grade, my mom sadly was diagnosed with breast cancer. Luckily, she did a little radiation and it never returned, but Taylor Swift's song, Soon You'll Get Better, about her own mother getting cancer, was something I really related to. The bridge lyric stating, quote, "And I hate to make this all about me, but who am I supposed to talk to? What am I supposed to do if there's no you?" Which never fails to bring tears to my eyes. In The Summer I Turned Pretty, we see two types of mother dynamics: the blood mother-daughter relationship and Belly's relationship with her mom's best friend, Susanna, who's like a second mom to her. Spoiler alert, but one of these mothers also gets cancer, and Belly and the other characters have the same Taylor Swift moment of, what am I supposed to do if there's no you? In Barbie, Ruth Handler, the creator of Barbie, plays sort of a godmother creator figure, and America Ferrera plays Gloria, a mother struggling with her tween growing up. The movie doesn't go super deep into the complexities of motherhood, but it's certainly a big theme. And that's going to bring me to the shortcomings of the all three of these pieces of media. Taylor Swift is definitely known for her white feminism that is relatively surface level. I love her, don't come for me, but let's be honest. And Barbie has a similar vibe. Modern Girls went into this on their film review, and as someone who absolutely loved the movie and whose only criticism was that the musical numbers went on for too long, I do think Tessa has some good points. Obviously, it's less than 2 hours, it's PG-13, and it's about a doll, so having the expectations of a dissertation level of understanding of intersectional feminism seems a bit lofty. I do agree they could have cut some of the Mattel stuff in favor of more Gloria and Sasha scenes. Similar to Barbie discovering that she didn't fix all of the women's problems in the real world, Taylor Swift's The Man and overall activism is quite rich millennial white woman with pretty privilege discovering that there is patriarchy and inequality. Very feminism 101, as Modern Girls would put it. I can't speak to The Summer I Turned Pretty season 2 on surface level feminism, and that piece of media, unlike Barbie and Taylor Swift, doesn't necessarily try to promote girl boss feminism, but it had the mother-daughter dynamics and the themes of girlhood, so it's kind of included in this discussion. And they did a really good job of casting POC in the role, and I like the adaptations that they made from the book into the TV show. I will say, these being the three big cultural moments surrounding girlhood this summer, it would be nice to move from 2010's girl boss feminism and having some plus-size characters in the background to something more substantial. If we really want to celebrate girlhood this summer, we need to celebrate all aspects of it. What it's like to grow up as a little black girl, as a plus-size girl, as a disabled girl, as a first-generation girl from an immigrant household. What's it like growing up a girl who was poor and couldn't afford these clueless-esque shopping sprees? These are all going to be distinctly different experience of what stereotypical Barbie, Taylor Swift, and Belly go through, and they're not negative or bad or a downer. They're just different and come with their own girlhood experiences. I think the show Pen 15 does a good job of representing coming from a two-language household, as well as To All the Boys I Loved Before, which is another TV adaptation of a Jenny Han book. But it does stand to say that these three pieces of media also depict Asian American representation. We don't see that much more Black girlhood or Latina girlhood shows. I will say The Cheetah Girls and Gotta Kick It Up are both great Disney movies. America Ferrera as a kid starred in Gotta Kick It Up on Disney, which did a good job of showing growing up in a Latin household. And The Cheetah Girls also showed vastly different upbringings from race to class. Both these pieces of media center around girls of color, specifically Black and Latino women, and I definitely add those two to your girlhood summer list to round out all the blonde that is happening this year. I will say I found it odd that Beyonce's Renaissance tour wasn't mentioned in the New York Times article. Her tour also deals with feminism from a Black woman's perspective and has themes of motherhood, with her own daughter Blue Ivy coming up on stage to dance. Often Black women are excluded from this idea of girlhood, forced to grow up even faster than white women. Society often takes femininity away from Black women and attributing stereotypical feminine traits to that of white women. I would argue Beyonce's tour is a part of this girlhood summer. Similar to the Eras tour, it's majority women and queer people. There's expectations of costume and dressing up, and Beyonce has been in these people's lives since they were children listening to Destiny's Child. Beyonce is to a lot of women in my generation to what Taylor Swift is to me, an artist that has been with me every aspect of my life and helped shape my girlhood, how I saw love, how I learned to express myself. I think what this New York Times article meant in the title is the parentheses white woman's hunger fed by Barbie and Taylor Swift. Otherwise, I see no reason why Beyonce's tour would be excluded from the conversation. Another shortcoming I think this has is that even in scrolling on Pinterest and TikTok of like girlhood, and I know I say this with most fashion aesthetics, and the fashion industry is very fatphobic and racist, but the topic of girlhood shouldn't just look the same, and like every video on TikTok about girlhood were white girls, and it was really kind of like sad to see that like monopoly on what girlhood is, because like fashion is one thing because it's like clothing and clothing's cultural and maybe whatever, I mean it's still like racist and fatphobic, but like girlhood, that's universal. Why is it only looking one way online, which is really disappointing. So with all the female-centered cultural moments happening this summer, I think it's safe to say it's a summer of girlhood. It's a summer of spending time with your mom, dressing up with your girls, singing, dancing, geeking out over your favorite artists, developing crushes and being independent, going through breakups and screaming at the top of your lungs. It's time to get back in touch with the things you loved as a girl, not apologizing for it or being embarrassed of it. It's time to allow yourself to just be a girl, whatever that means to you, because there's no one definition of what girlhood is. So long as we're dismantling our own misogyny, fighting the patriarchy, breaking up with deadbeats who don't treat you right, we're celebrating the summer of girlhood. All right, and that's going to conclude today's video. My battery is going to die. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment down below if you saw the Barbie movie and what aspects of girlhood you are celebrating this summer. Also, make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram because I post content there almost every single day. Also, oh my gosh, I hit 9,000 subscribers this week. So crazy. Thank you so much. Special announcement coming at 10,000 subscribers. And with that, have a happy day. Bye.